What is the best American SMG in Rising Storm 2 Vietnam? We're going to be getting the M1A1 and no, not that M1A1, the Thompson and the M3A1 grease gun and comparing them because I have done the same for just about every other submachine gun in the game, so these are no exception. I also need to bring up the fact that, I don't normally get strange comments, but there has been this one guy who's been commenting on all of my videos, just the word grease, and I'm not saying it's hateful or anything, it's just that I get the feeling that if I don't say the grease gun is the best gun in the game, he might show up to my house and start an altercation. But honestly, that doesn't compare to some of the other comments that I get. It's just that sometimes I see a comment it just makes me want to remove myself from my computer and touch some grass, as this person says I should, because I don't want to use bullpup weapons. It's like the Australian army uses the AUG. It's not like during a time of war they hand me one and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry mate, but do you have an M4 that I can use? I'm not a bullpup guy. And it's also like I feel the need to just put up a little sarcastic disclaimer every time I make a joke. But anyways, moving on, I will be making a video on the NLF Sapper submachine gun, so like the video if you want to see that, and comment which weapon you prefer, the Thompson and grease gun, not do it for any submachine gun in the game actually. But some people might regard these two as the best submachine guns in the game. Others will say PPSH, MP40, no one will ever say the F1 or Owen, and for good reason. Me personally, I'm more of a Thompson enjoyer, but I do acknowledge that each have their own attributes that make them good in different situations. But let's have a look at the stats of the weapons. They both fire the same 45 caliber bullets in a 30 round magazine, which are capable of one-shotting reliably in close quarter scenarios, but they are the exact same bullets that the M1911 has, and they just aren't the best at range. I mean, the guns themselves aren't that good at range. Leading on, right, they both have horrid, and I cannot stress this enough, horrid shell velocity. The Thompson being 238 meters per second and the grease gun 230 meters per second. So leading a target at range can be difficult to do. Heck, even the XM21 suppressed has better shell velocity, but yet again, yes, that is a sniper and you're going to be using it more at longer ranges, at even more extreme ranges like 200 plus meters, and you're unlikely going to be landing bullets reliably with the grease gun and Thompson at those ranges. Which I'm pretty sure from my research, the Thompson has an effective range of 150 meters, which is why the rangefinder I assume only goes up to 150 meters, and the grease gun only is 91 meters, which is why you can't even adjust the rangefinder. But you are going to have an extremely difficult time just hitting anything over, like, I'd say 100 meters. I mean, maybe I'm just bad, but the guns aren't the best for those ranges, but they are submachine guns after all. They also have a horrid MOA, and if you don't know what that is, basically it's the spread of the weapon. A big thank you to Wobble for actually explaining what MOA meant, and he kind of had the in-depth explanation, and then he also had, the dumb version at the end for someone like me to understand. But the MOA of the Thompson, and mind you, I'm using in-game stats, is 12.50 or 1250, which is better than the Grease's 15.36, but to interpret this, that's shit. Let's be fair, right, and compare it to the MP40. They did see service in World War II, including the PPSH, but the MP40 has 7.86 and the PPSH has 10.48, and someone did comment saying that at range, the Thompson and the grease gun, it does feel like a gamble at times, because like you're just throwing bullets at a target and you just hope that one of them lands center mass and one shots, and even after a certain range, I'm pretty sure the chance of a one shot decreases. And it doesn't help that these weapons have absolute shocking iron sights, but let's not talk about precision anymore. These are submachine guns. How well do they do in situations that they were designed to do well in? And there's really no right or wrong answer. If I were in a purely close quarters environment such as tight jungles or concrete jungles of Hue City, the grease gun would be my pick, which, while you do have a lower fire rate at 450 rounds per minute, you can get the shots out first because you do have a better ADS time compared to the Thompson, as well as a lot of other weapons by default. If you fold in the stock, which, you don't need to be pinpoint precise when you're within arm's reach or, throwing distance of the enemy, I find that the loss of the iron sight isn't really a big issue, but the grease, in my opinion, does dominate over the Thompson in close range, especially since the ADS time with the Thompson feels a lot more lethargic. But by all means, this doesn't mean that the Thompson is bad. It has a faster fire rate at 750 150 rounds per minute, and I feel a lot more confident with the Thompson if I need to go against multiple enemies at once and, quickly gun them down and, just spray and pray basically. The Thompson also does get a sight advantage in close quarters because people do recommend that you set the rangefinder to 150 meters, and this gives you so much more peripheral, and it's just much easier to hit targets. You're not obstructed by the bad iron sights, especially if you know where the bullets come out of, which is at the end of the barrel, which for me is the center of the screen, so it's a lot easier to sort of know where I need to aim. Also unrelated, but if you do use the map 49, you should do the same. Set the iron sights to the highest range possible. I think it goes from like 50 to 100 meters. It does not make any difference with that gun, and trust me, the iron sights are significantly better. But let's say I were to play on a map with a variety of ranges. I'd take the Thompson because I don't feel as useless at range, especially with the fact that this gun can be fired in semi-auto, and when you set it to this mode, guns aren't as violent in terms of recoil when tap firing, and the grease gun does not get this. So when you're tap firing with the grease gun, you don't really get an improvement to the accuracy as opposed if you were to tap fire with the Thompson in semi-auto. But another advantage I say the Thompson has is if you hip fire, because since the bullets are just sprayed out a lot faster, I'd say, it's a lot more reliable. But I mean, that doesn't negate the fact that both of these guns are actually pretty decent at that. But in the end of the day, someone will be good with the Thompson, and then the next person will be better with the grease gun, and then so on. But the way I see it, now you probably don't see it the way that I do, but it's like you have the grease gun. Sure, it's slower rate of fire, but you're a lot more maneuverable. You can aim faster, and you just feel a lot more nimble with it, as opposed if you want the Thompson, which feels a lot more lethargic, but I feel like your firepower capabilities are a lot stronger in the sense that, you're better at range, or close to medium range, should I say. And if multiple people, and I have been in this scenario before, if multiple people are running at you, you can just mow them down a lot easier than the grease gun. And also, I found that the penetration to be a little bit inconsistent with these weapons. Apparently you can hit 2 people at once. I only was able to really do that if I hit the head, but if I aimed right on the center of the body, sometimes it wouldn't go to the other side. But I mean, nonetheless, these are 2 fantastic weapons. And I also want you to click the playlist on screen so that you can watch my other weapons comparison videos for Rising Storm 2 Vietnam. Anyways, my name is Tan2, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.